call.
Mr. Iverson.
Here.
Mr. Split.
Here.
Mr. Grant.
Here.
Mrs. Julian.
Here.
Mr. Polash. Mr. Hoag.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. A motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from March 18th meeting?
I'll motion to approve the minutes for March 18th.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. All right. Only action item is public hearing, so I will open the public hearing at 7:01 regarding the request for conditional use permit at 529 Kenton Street with Barbara Morris. I guess we'll start with hearing from Barbara.
Hi. So I don't quite a few people here, but basically I think I set forth in my letter towards the city that it's a straightforward retail greenhouse. It will be strictly part-time, spring for major plantings, probably Wednesday afternoon to maybe 5 p.m. at night, and then not opening up again until Friday afternoon. I manage and run a full-time landscape design and property management business as well, so I can't do both full-time. So Friday would be from noon to about 5 p.m. and Saturday from probably 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday is up in the air. I'm not sure if I want to work 7 days a week. But, and then closing for the better part of the summer, once the planting season is over with, I'll be raising vegetables in the greenhouse. So you'll have fresh veggies available. And then opening back up again in the fall for fall plantings, pumpkins, gourds, mums, asters, and that kind of thing. And then I do seasonal decor as well. So there would be, you know, things to do in the wintertime as well. I'd have available for purchase fresh evergreens for people. And I make fresh roping as well myself. We have to talk about that, it's an old trade. Last year I made over 400 feet of fresh roping and over 80 wreaths. So I would have that available in the wintertime, but only as an appointment, not as open at this point. And the hours would probably be the same if I decided to open briefly for the 2 weeks before the holidays or right after Thanksgiving. It's actually when people start decorating Christmas, I'd be probably open 2 weeks. And the same amount of hours, maybe 20 hours a week. There you have it. I would be carrying a lot of unusual things because I'm known for unusual plantings. I carry some of the standard things as well, annuals for the spring, very unusual perennials, trees and shrubs, which no one sells that right now in the city. Stewart's does out on the highway, but there's no one available in the city now to purchase trees and shrubs or perennials from. So it fills a niche. Any questions for me?
How many people do, I just live up the street.
I do, I know you. I hope your son searched for the parrot.
That's right, that's right. His little cockatiel he lost.
That cockatiel,
Long
yes.
gone.
I know.
You gotta know that. How many people at one time do you think might be there?
I have a small greenhouse.
I was hard to see when my wife and I took a walk, and I was telling her about it. And as we walked by, she said, "Oh, it's not very big." And I turned it, and I just could barely see the
Yeah,
greenhouse.
18 by 22, it's a small greenhouse. A lot of the more tender annuals go in there, shade annuals, having benches built, if this goes through. It's full now because I do over 200 containers for customers over the course of the summer, and I do a lot of planting, so I have a lot of perennials now and some trees and shrubs there. But yeah, it's just a small, big benches built for outside too, so.
So any idea how many people might be there at one time?
Well, I'm gonna comply with the pandemic right now and do the 4 persons plus myself.
Okay.
I can't see it being that busy. People that know me around town and know me on the lake know that they can come and get things if this is approved. I can't see much more than a couple people at a time. And I have parking in I have a double wide driveway, there's 2 or 3 places to park there. And in front of the trailer house there's room to park there too.
Okay.
There's not gonna be parking up and down the street. I don't anticipate it.
Okay.
That was one of my questions, and I'm familiar with your lot, and you do own 2 parcels, correct?
Yes.
So there would be room for some off-street parking?
I
Okay.
actually could, I could probably get 2 or 3 alongside across the driveway, and then maybe a couple at the end of the driveway too, but I don't want more than a half dozen people at the most at one time, because then you can't service a customer. Yes?
I also noticed that your hours don't seem to coincide with garbage or recycling pickup.
No, I guess I don't understand that.
Well, they might be parking on the street.
Oh,
and,
no, because they come, they're through at 7 o'clock in the
Right.
morning.
Mhm. Okay.
No. I'm sure you don't work at 7 o'clock in the morning as a small business owner. I do it all.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Okay. This gentleman over here is looking,
I'm looking at the zoning map.
oh,
This would be a question for Lud. Barb, in your write-up, you said you have no intention of filling the whole yard.
no.
I know you have no intention, but say you get really big, I mean, is there a limit that you can do?
There is not room to go big, and I
Okay.
don't want to be big. Truthfully, I don't.
Mhm.
I've run greenhouses before, and I'm a firm believer in customer service, and there's a lot of people that don't know a lot about plants, and I like to spend the time with that person and educate them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And nothing would be in the back of the property at all, it would be by the greenhouse or in front of the pole shed that's there. I'm planning on putting benches up there for the sun perennials and sun annuals. And the trees and shrubs are immediately behind the trailer. The first year I put the greenhouse up, I actually had theft within a week of stocking the greenhouse. And whoever took what they took knew what they were taking, because they took all high-end stuff.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we're gonna have to put cameras up, but it is what it is. I don't want to get that big.
So what you're driving at is, can you put a area outside limit?
Yeah,
Is that what you're looking at?
that's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering.
Yes.
No, I
And then,
Yes.
You don't have to have a
along,
backyard to do
Yeah,
it.
she's been there, I
Okay.
I don't have
Yeah,
the room,
no.
and I don't want.
So within her property,
Yeah.
there
She's
is
just got
limited
small green
space.
space behind the greenhouse there. She's got a
Okay.
2-car garage and, yeah, there's not much room.
And alongside the greenhouse is a fenced-in area as well, so it's blocked off from the public. You can see it from my property, but you can't see it from the neighbor's property at all. It's an L-shaped fence.
okay,
So you could make it subject to
Yeah.
the building inspector verifying
yes.
the
I have no
location
problem.
of the exterior use of the property
Right.
for the greenhouse. That could be a condition.
And another question, it says, I may be putting up additional temporary shelters.
Yes.
Can we, I don't know
It would
where
be-
you would put them then if,
It would be on the front of the pole shed,
okay.
and that would be only for the summer.
Mhm.
If I decided to expand on shade annuals and shade perennials, I would have a little bit more room. I don't really want to do that because it's a lot of work, taking carport up and down.
Yeah, okay.
And I would probably utilize the space, the fenced-in area, and do a shade cloth over that's next to the greenhouse, and solve the problem that way, and not have an additional building or temporary shelter up.
Again, same thing,
Yeah,
could be a
would-
condition.
Would Barb have to come back then if she wanted to put up that temporary?
That's up to this body.
Okay.
You can bring it back to this body for approval, or you can give the building inspector authority within some kind of meets and bounds or feet or within a confines of a certain area, you can give general instructions to the building inspector.
Okay, I just,
Yeah,
I'm just looking down the road,
Yep.
all of a sudden there's a,
Yep.
and I have nothing against a shelter up there, but then the neighbor comes in and
Yep.
says,
Right.
what's this doing out
yeah,
now?
exactly.
So we gotta.
No, very important,
Okay.
very important. So that's a yay or a nay. You can limit it to the greenhouse and the immediate area adjacent. You can say no to the extra building. All that's within your purview. It's a conditional use.
I don't see putting up any other building, to tell you the truth. It would probably more like be a temporary, one of those pop-up tent things, if that. I do have a carport that we're gonna put up, but not on that property. We're gonna put it behind their garage for boat storage, but we're gonna.
Yeah, they just need to be
Yes, I don't.
informed as to what you're requesting.
I'm not gonna request that at this time. I just don't think it's
Okay.
gonna happen. I'm positive it's not gonna happen. It's too much work for me.
For clarity, if a conditional use is approved, it goes with the property in perpetuity, right?
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
Regardless of owner?
regardless of
If you-
owner.
Unless you limit it and review it. You can limit it and have her come back annually to review the conditional use. You can do that.
And question for you,
No.
Good
I
answer.
realize it's a conditional use, but is it a listed use
Yes.
in the zoning?
It is listed, the R3 refers back to anything in the R2. R2 refers to anything in the R1, and it is listed in the R1 as a residential business with a conditional use permit.
Okay.
So that's why we're here.
Any other questions for me? Okay. Anybody need a landscaper? John, you and I have to talk, yeah.
Any other questions for her? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing portion of the meeting.
I guess we would note, in the public hearing, we received a letter.
Oh.
So just, we should note as part of the process that that
And
letter was
I
written.
have talked to Sylvia about it. I gotta admit, she's in the early stages of dementia, so she's a little
Concerned.
touchy right now.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions about that letter?
I think her concern was more traffic than anything, and I reassured her, there's not gonna be people parking in front of her place. You know, it's just not gonna happen, and if it does happen, I'll make sure they move, so it doesn't disturb her.
All right. Now I will close the public hearing
Right.
at 7:14.
And do I leave then?
Nope,
Okay,
you
We
stay.
haven't approved it yet.
Oh,
You stay.
And I will open it up for discussion.
No, I'll start it. I do have a little bit of concern, the same as Sylvia, that we're gonna put a retail business in a residential neighborhood per se. Now, you are right on the fringe of a residential neighborhood, so I can justify it a little bit. But I do think if we're gonna approve this conditional use, we do need to make it renewable, whether it's a year, 2 years, or whatever. And I think we should limit or I guess eliminate any on-street parking and limit everything to on-site parking.
Can do that.
so they couldn't park in front of my property at all? Fenton Street is a wide street. There are semis
It
going
is.
up and down our street.
But I mean, there are the concerns with more traffic. So I mean, if you're gonna keep 3 or 4 customers at a time, you've already stated that you could get that into your driveway.
I could, yes,
And you mentioned something about in front of the trailer?
yes.
There's an area,
I could expand that and.
Off
park
the
people
street?
This way.
okay.
You know, I wouldn't want to tear up my lawn there, but I could do that. I could-
Again, with the idea of it's temporary, they're not permanently parking there. They're coming and going, and you could create a space for that.
But I also think if the business becomes more than the part-time, then we would have to ask for a site plan review with hard surface parking. and
I
all that.
can I reassure you that it will not become?
I understand that, but again, it can go on in perpetuity. So it's not necessarily just what your plans are.
Okay.
You could decide you're gonna sell out in 3 years and, we're looking at a completely different plan. We don't know that.
Well, could that be a conditional use permit then for that person?
Well, that's kind of what we're proposing, or at least
Yeah.
being discussed, is we're going to sunset it.
'Cause
And it needs to be annually reviewed to be,
I was told,
Continue.
I was under the impression that a conditional use permit was pretty much permanent, that I wouldn't have to do this year after year after year.
Well, it is, but if we don't review it, then there's gonna be a lot more conditions on it.
Is it possible to extend further out than 1 year, or does it have to be 1 year?
that's up to, again, this body. We have historically utilized the review process to ensure, like Bill is proposing, or at least questioning, how big does this thing get? And I think Bill makes a good point, we don't have a site plan in front of us. And so if we're looking at a part-time conditional use, then you have a duty to come back and say, it is what you said it was, as opposed to it's something other than what you said it was.
If we go, I like the idea of a 1-year review. If after 1 year, like next year at this time, if we approve it, there's no complaints, no problems, can we go then without another 1 year?
Yeah, and I
Then
would
we can
think,
just change it and,
given what we've heard this
Okay.
evening,
yeah.
again, and Bill, I think, nailed it, the idea that after that 1 year, you come back with a site plan, saying this is where parking is, this is where the plant's exterior
I
are.
would have done that tonight if I would have known.
No, I understand, again, there's two ways to view this, and
Yes.
the Plan Commission is looking at
And
a
I
possibility
appreciate
of giving you this opportunity. By the same token, there's a lot of things that are a little bit over here, over there, and if Bill makes the motion to limit to on-site parking, you're gonna have to find a way to make that happen.
And
I guess I would have to work with it, but my objection is other businesses are allowed parking in front of their properties as well.
Right, but this is an exception to the zoning. That's important for you to understand.
Yes.
Once you get into the arena of a conditional use, there is no mandatory right to it.
Okay.
You know, if you have a business that's approved, properly zoned, people can park on the street because they have a business that's zoned properly. This is not the underlying zoning for a greenhouse. And so it's
I
kind of,
understand.
yeah, that's the whole concept. So nobody's trying to pick on you or say,
No, and
we're trying to take the street away from you. What they're saying is, you're talking part-time, you're talking limited hours, rather than trying to say, okay, you can't operate this day, you can't operate that day. They want to get another look at this,
Okay.
and I would urge you, when you come back at that review, because it will sunset if they make the motion I think they're making, you got to bring that plan and say,
Okay.
here's where people park, here's where the plants go, here's the area that's utilized for shade area and all those kind of things that you were talking about, that you might do. And I know it may not be that expansive, but
No, I don't disagree with you. I think there's a large opportunity for that in the city right now. So I could see this business being able to grow.
But I personally.
Well, not necessarily
I
you,
work 80-hour weeks during the summer already.
but it may not necessarily be you. I understand that.
It might be the next person.
Right.
It would be true.
And just for my education, is it possible to grant a conditional permit use that would sunset when the property sells?
no, it belongs to the body, and you can't limit the person if you're going to grant it, other than bringing it back to the body. And then the body says, okay, the grant that we gave you is now expired, you have the right to continue, but they have a right to come back. If you just end it with the next property owner, they don't have that right. That's kind of case law.
Unless they don't use it for 12 months.
Exactly.
Then it
It
expires.
fails, right. If it fails to be used for a period of time, it's gone. But once you go on the record of granting it, it goes with the land, which was Bill's first question. However, it goes with the land for a specified period of time if you limit it. And then you decide, are you going to continue the use?
But
So the discussion is completely different the second time around.
But
There's a different burden.
after the 1-year
Yeah.
review, you could, again, renew it, but with a 5-year review.
Yes, absolutely.
Certainly could.
So it
Absolutely.
would not be
Absolutely.
in perpetuity.
Absolutely. You don't have to go year to year.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. And we've used this because this board has wanted to help citizens look at opportunity. But some of them are just, I think, I might, I may, I don't have enough time. And then, as Bill pointed out, the next person makes it something that,
You have to admit, this is a very unusual time right now, and for somebody to start up a business during this is.
clearly, and I don't think anybody here is just dismissing it out of hand.
Yeah.
They're trying to find ways to make this happen, so
Yeah.
that's the discussion.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with parking on the street either, but I do think we should put a limit on that then also, or is that even possible?
I
To,
just, my
not more than
question-
one?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I think you could. You could.
Okay.
Only one off-street parking at a time, yeah. I mean, I guess that begs the question, at a time, it means one off-street park associated with the business, yeah. Or off-site, excuse me. On street.
If there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead,
You
Bill.
gonna get me on that?
I'll second, because I don't know everything you said.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the conditional use permit contingent upon a 1-year renewal and limited to on-site parking plus one street parking
On-street
area.
parking.
Space
Permitted.
permitted. And I guess if you're gonna look at putting up another structure, whether it be temporary or not, we'd come back and look at it.
So no structure without
No
review by the
structure
body.
without review, right.
Okay. So, current area, you understand what she's talking about, where it's gonna be, Sue?
Yes. Yep.
So it's clear, I mean, because I don't, and I don't know that everybody in the board does either,
Yep.
that the area that she's gonna utilize for outside display.
Yeah, you can't see it from the road, it's all behind
Okay.
the trailer.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's,
all right. No, that's fine, I just want to make sure it's clear to the body.
yes.
And rather than 1-year renewal, it's 1-year review. It will sunset 1 year from today. So you have to come back to continue it.
I will second that motion.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
I appreciate that. Hope to see some of your smiling faces there. I'm gonna be growing heirloom tomatoes by the way. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, next item on the agenda is the preliminary review of the annexation of W13716 Skyline Road. So, do you have the information on this?
Yes, we did receive a letter from the state that Ann and Kim Powers have applied to annex their parcel to the city. They are already on city water, and their septic system is failing and would like to be annexed in so they can be put on city sewer. The process starts with the individual applying to the state sent us a letter. It comes to Planning Commission for preliminary review. We cannot make a recommendation at this time. After we hear back from the state, they have 20 days to respond. Then it will come back, they can respond whether or not it's in the best interest of the public. Once we get their response, then it will come back to Planning Commission for final recommendation, and then the council for final approval.
How long will that take? Is there a timeline before?
20 days for the state to respond. So if they respond in time, we could be
Next
discussing this at our next meeting.
So if I'm looking at that map right, the stuff right behind them to the south is
Yes.
actually already in the city.
It
Dave
is.
Minor's old property, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You are correct.
Oh, all right.
It's kind of a little bump out.
That corner actually looks nice with the trailers gone.
Just a question, I have a question on like the taxes I saw here, so we pay the township, just because they're gonna be losing a certain amount?
Yeah, the state requires that we pay the other taxing jurisdiction their share of the taxes for 5 years.
Mhm.
Just as a historical perspective, this was litigation to litigation to litigation until the legislature changed the law. Towns would object routinely. You would end up many times in court arguing whether or not the annexation was fair to the
Yeah.
town or was appropriate to proceed. And the state legislature said, that's enough of that. We're going to pay to the town their loss, but we're not going to let you file a lawsuit and object. That's why it became
Gotcha.
the system.
Lori, any idea how much in property tax we'll get back? I mean, surely it's gonna be more than $500 coming back to the city.
Yeah, the town's share was about, over the 5 years, was about $2,800. I'm not sure how the town's mill rate compares to the city's.
Well, how much is the city gonna get when we bring them into the city?
Or something will be similar.
Don't know if I have their
It's gonna be,
assessment there.
it's gonna be more than the $500 a year?
Probably, I'm not sure. I guess I don't know what their assessment
It's
is.
pretty cheap taxes if that's all they're paying is $560.
I mean, it just seems like
Well, it's
it
just
would
the
be
town's
another.
portion.
Oh, that's just town's
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
the town.
that's just the town's portion.
And
Oh,
the
okay.
school and the county
Yeah,
and all
school,
that good
county,
stuff on there.
MPTC, everything.
Right.
So it is frozen at the current, correct? In other words, if it's reassessed, they don't get, how does that work? Yeah, that's great. That's a very good question. I'm not sure of.
I'm sure our assessor will take a look at it.
Right,
when it
but so then the
becomes
town, we
due
agree to pay
Yeah.
what the town was receiving now,
Correct.
not what they might receive in the future.
Right.
Got it.
So
That's what I
when-
thought that was, but
So if it's
it
reassessed,
reassessed, it could,
it'll probably
be a
be
piece for the
higher.
city, yeah.
It might be higher,
yep.
and so that access would go to the city, but it's not gonna be a lot of it.
No, it's not gonna be a lot, but I'm just curious on that process.
No, it'll take 5 years to get the money back, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the amount of time we have to pay the town of Ripon.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lump sum, right, for 5 years.
Correct.
Right.
Well, you can do it over annual, but you choose to lump sum it. That she did explain to me. City just gets it off the books,
Yeah.
so we don't have to every year check it. Make
We
sure
don't
we
want to
do it.
forget.
Yeah.
There's already garbage and recycling service going by there and,
Their
because it,
neighbors to the.
yeah, so, okay,
There are
so that's not
already
a
in the
problem,
city.
yeah.
So what we can do is, this is it?
Yep, this will come
Okay.
back again
Okay.
after we hear from the state.
I
So
don't
this is
think
just preliminary.
It'll come back again, but I don't know.
So it's just,
Why?
just discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Next item is the comprehensive plan review.
And we'll get Leah from MSA on the line. Well, hi Yeah, this is Lori Rich. Can you hear me? All right, it sounded a little choppy. Try that again.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, pretty good, yep.
Okay, yeah, you're a little fuzzy too. So,
Okay, must be our connection.
yeah.
Okay, so we're at this item on the agenda for the comprehensive plan update. I've handed out copies of the maps that you sent, and I did email them as well, and the answers to the surveys.
Okay. Okay. So I guess what I wanted to do was just sort of go a little more in depth with some of the survey responses. I noticed a few themes that came up, and I also had a couple questions that came up from my read through of the old comp plan and also from looking at the future land use map. If that sounds good?
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, do any of the new commissioners need any background on comp planning or anything, or does everyone feel comfortable?
I think everyone is comfortable.
Okay, sounds great. So one question I have is, Silver Creek and the Mill Pond came up in quite a few of the survey responses, and it seems to me that you guys think it's a big asset, but maybe it's underutilized. And I guess I was wondering if you could talk to me about what opportunities have been researched for the area and what you think would be a potential good use for that area for the future? Like, I know there is a park, looking at an aerial photo right now, so there's a park on the pond, correct?
Yes, that's Selfridge Park.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think there could be a few more public type amenities on the pond and Silver Creek?
Well,
Would that be?
John,
Go ahead.
the park where Tigard Street Bridge
Yes.
used to be, that park down there, just downriver from the dam, I think that's underutilized, and that should be developed more.
Okay, and is that the Southbridge Park you were talking about?
No, that's
it's
downriver, they're talking about downriver of the dam off Jackson Street. We have that road that we don't use anymore. We barricaded it because the culvert's in bad condition, but there's parkland on both sides of that, so that is underutilized, I think. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity.
Sure, yeah. Okay, and is that Aikens Park or Atkins Park?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's what it is. I couldn't think of it offhand.
Okay.
But I do think there's other opportunities behind the library.
Yes. And the brewery stable.
Brewery stable.
That's been there for 14 years.
Agreed.
Say that again?
I'm sorry. Behind the library, what's the street? The old brewery stable that sits over Silver Creek.
Is that Hamburg?
Okay.
Is that Hamburg?
Hamburg Street, that's
Yeah,
it.
between
That's it.
Hamburg and Pacific.
Right, and so
Yeah.
we own that, and we own the property south of it. The city does. And so the brewery stable has been sitting there owned by the city since 2006. And I think that needs to be developed. We need to do something with it, or we're going to lose it someday.
Okay. So when you say develop, do you mean like sell to a developer or use for a public purpose?
We don't know. I think that's very fair. No one has any plans with it, and that's the problem. No one can make a decision about it.
We've done RFPs, I think, a couple times on that property with no response.
Yeah,
And
we
there
have
are some
come up.
environmental issues as well, so that I think is a hindrance.
Did you say there were no responses to your RFPs?
And there's also environmental issues as well.
Yeah, okay.
I do think if you're taking a long-term look just to look along that corridor all along Silver Creek. We should look for opportunities.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, a long-term look at the entire corridor.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody's shaking their head, yes.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see through my phone.
Nope.
Is there anything else related to those two issues specifically that you wanted to talk about further? Because I can certainly get more, I can even get more backwards beyond the brewery and that park from Lauren at some point here in the future, and that would allow me to maybe brainstorm some ideas and recommendations for that area.
I think if you look along West Fond du Lac, we should take a look at that from a long-term standpoint. Because the creek runs right behind all of those residential properties around there. So that's an opportunity to bring some business or public space long-term and utilize the creek more.
What's that issue? Are you still there?
Yep,
Yeah, we're still
I
here.
didn't hear what you said, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Sorry. So, and another thing that came up a lot in the survey was your downtown, excuse me, your downtown and your Main Street program. And there was mostly positive things to say about that. So talk to me about how you feel the Main Street program has helped your downtown.
I would say that the Main Street program is helped by recruiting businesses, recruiting developers, and Ripon was lucky this last 2 years with a good family from Ripon that developed quite a bit. But basically, the Main Street program does a lot for recruiting and advertising for the downtown shop businesses.
Facade grants, they do facade grants too, don't they, John?
Yes, they do.
And I think the facade grants are very important. I drive up to a nearby community that got rid of their downtown, or their Main Street program, and I'm sorry, at one time, 20 years ago, it was cutting edge sort of with what they were doing, and now it's just kind of like they've run out of gas and it's just kind of not looking as good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's important for the aesthetics of the downtown.
They're planting new trees downtown too. That's gonna happen pretty soon.
And, yeah, and they have been for the last year. that
Right.
help with their beautification. Parking is always an issue on the 3 blocks of our downtown. And we do have good parking lots, bad signage, and truthfully, people are lazy. They want to park in front of the store.
Right. I mean,
They won't go to, and I'm the same way. I can't blame anybody.
if I was gonna look at one area downtown, would be the 300 block with the old Bloomke's building, with that Bloom, that big park there, and sometimes restaurant or sometimes not, it needs to be cleaned. Maybe it's you see what I'm saying? And it, the finance, but that is I would focus in on. So, yeah.
So I know that what kind of working relationship does the city have with in terms of programs, recreation and shared recreation spaces, the college students help the city, or city helps the sort of
Yes. At least one dispatcher that is or was a college student. The library's hired college students on a regular basis. So there's, EMS, I think, has a college student, if I read correctly. So at any given time, there's only 3 or 4, but that's the connection we have with the college. And maybe not a great big one, but it is.
As far as coordinating programs, in my opinion, the college accomplish to community interaction. They try to keep students not isolated, but events.
We do own the track together.
Yeah, the
so
high school and the
the-
college share
Right.
the track and the
Right.
football field.
But that's pretty much it.
Do they both own that?
No, I think
I
no.
think we just share it.
School
as-
The school
yeah.
owns it, and I
School
think the
owns it.
college.
Ripon
rents
kicks
it.
in money though, and they're gonna,
Right.
Ripon College
Right.
is now going to be kicking in money to put new turf in.
Right.
They did come up with an agreement on that. I think in respect to what the mayor pointed out, I think it ebbs and flows. You've got that green space that the college, you got the mural that the college did, you had the bookstore downtown for a while, you've got the college or president office right on the square. It ebbs and flows.
In the last couple of years, there's been more communication between the two groups, but not too much interaction, but at least we are communicating.
Yes, and it can be nurtured
Right.
Yes.
more, there's no
Yeah.
question, and it should be. It absolutely,
Yeah.
100% should be, and we'll all keep our very different for it.
Correct. Hired employee, on the ball right now, so Ripon Street Board does interact.
I think Marty Farrell is president of the here with me. I mean, there is an of the president or vice.
And they go.
Yeah, he's been helping us with some pieces of it and,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Now that you're saying that, I know exactly what you're talking about, okay. It wasn't so much that the senior center is a weakness, it's that it's a strength, but there's just not, the senior center itself just doesn't have enough resources.
Mhm.
Is that a correct explanation of what I heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. There was also a comment, people talked about the community garden at the farmer's market. It was sort of a mixed review. I sort of read it as people think the farmer's market and community gardens are good things, but it's either not large enough or there aren't enough people that are participating in the market or the garden.
Well, the garden is located outside the city. So that's probably why it's not really highly connected to city comment. It's there, it's available, but it's not in the city proper. I think that's part of it. But it's utilized. The farmer's market can be improved on, obviously. Certainly, some communities do an excellent job at that, and Ripon has not, for whatever reason.
And I think, oh,
Are you talking improved, meaning you need more vendors or just
yes,
better
more vendors.
advertising?
I
or-
think with more vendors would bring more customers.
Right.
Currently, there's typically 2 or 3 at any given time,
Mhm.
and only one is really selling produce.
And access isn't great.
Yeah, very limited parking.
Right.
Yeah.
Variety would be good.
And from what I've heard from Craig T-Bond with Ripon Main Street is the reason we don't get vendors is they go to Oshkosh where you get 20 times the people on a given day. And that's the problem, we don't get enough vendors. It's kind of a catch-22, we don't get enough vendors, so we don't get enough people, and we don't have enough people because there's not enough vendors. So that's the problem we have. We're close to Oshkosh, which is a large farmer's market.
Fond du Lac has one too.
And Fond, yes, Fond du Lac also.
Flea market in Princeton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, 20 miles
Yeah,
all
we got the
ways.
biggest
and-
one,
yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, you don't go through there on a Saturday.
I worked for, crossing over in the Fox Valley for a while when they were right next to Appleton, and we tried to start our own farmer's market, and it just failed miserably because all the farmers go to Appleton. So yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, I think they're great things, but they're definitely challenging to get up and running. So is it run by, who is it run by? Is it run by the Main Street program?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I think they sell use permits or something per season or something, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're very much money, but
Yeah, okay. Let's see. So, the 2009 plan, so going back to the old plan, it talked about that the age of housing was a big issue for Ripon, with aging housing stock. So, 10 years now into the future, from 2009, how are you currently feeling about that? Do you feel like the housing rehab program that Ripon started has been working? Do you feel like more could be done? What are your opinions there?
When you say aging housing, do you mean just aging like in general, like 100-year-old residential neighborhoods? Or do you mean dilapidated and shabby looking neighborhoods?
Yeah, I think what I mean is old houses that are no longer being kept up, either because the people can't afford to, or maybe the people are old themselves and they can't afford to keep it up. So aging as in aging and not looking very good, leading to,
Correct.
like you said, run down looking neighborhoods.
I personally think that's the biggest problem in Ripon. All our highways, as you enter Ripon, and we have, what, 4 nice highways, those are probably, I don't know how to say the word, but you know, the ones that need the most help, the housing. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, it's just, it is the older neighborhoods. Also, it's on a highway, so that always leads to nobody wants to live on the highway, and so the houses probably do fall more in disrepair. And it doesn't set a good example when somebody's coming into town.
Right, I was gonna say, and unfortunately, the highways are what everybody uses to get into town, so that's the first thing they see.
Some of the houses are in the township.
Yes.
So do you think the housing rehab programs have done any good, in anyone's opinion? I mean, are they helping at all? But I guess you can visually see, I think they're helping individuals.
What do you think, Laurie?
Is there
Has a lot of
any money in
people taken advantage of it?
Our housing program is pretty much maxed out.
Yeah.
We had the new TIF one, which I think we've had a few people take advantage of. You know, and you have the build program, so we're getting new houses, but it's not really helping very many of the ones that need help. We could use more funding in there.
Can we target it to the highway corridors?
If people need to apply.
Well, I understand, but I mean, if all of the, you know, if you have this program and all of the money's going to some side of town instead of on the corridors that we want, can you target it for your area?
You certainly could. Certainly could.
So what was the last thing that was just said? Something about targeting the program to specific areas, is that what I heard?
Right. That we have not done. It's been a citywide opportunity. You know, subdivisions have developed. We do have available lots in some subdivisions, one very open. So we've attempted in some programming, TIF funding, to try to encourage new build. But yeah, I understand what you're saying about aging properties or properties in need of a little TLC.
Yeah, and what you just said actually gets at the next question I had, which was, a couple of people mentioned that there are available lots, but it's been hard to attract developers.
I think that's been a problem for a long time in Ripon. I think generally the people that are gonna build in Ripon are, you know, or building are the second home, you know, buyers or, you know, people. But when that tax rate is at $5,000 or $7,000 a year, that makes it hard for, you know, families with children and whatnot to build. I really think that's really hurt our area quite a bit for as far as building the subdivision. I know Sandmar was one of those subdivisions for a while where people wanted to build, but as soon as they found out how much the taxes were on a 2,000 square foot house, they said forget it. So I think that is something that's stagnated the growth with new buildings.
I think one thing that leads to that is we have a great blue-collar industrial
Right.
type of city, but we don't have a lot of, we have like zero high-tech or a lot of white-collar jobs.
Right.
And so people have to, they would live in Ripon and drive to Fond du Lac or Oshkosh to a larger city. So that we don't have a draw for younger, higher paying or receiving paid people.
Yep, that's true. And the college, back to the college is just holding its own. It's doing okay, but it's holding its own. It's not attracting those higher paying jobs either.
So the college is struggling to get.
Well, It's,
employees?
I don't want to go that far, but it's certainly with COVID, yes, there are some significant
Well,
issues.
right, yeah, definitely.
Although I think they did get some of the money that was out there for colleges, so. Hey, alumnus told me that, so. That was good news. I gotta get my son to the finish line.
And let's see, another thing from the 2009 comp plan, there was mention in a few places that the city doesn't have enough daycare facilities. I don't know if that was a big issue back then or if it still is. What are your thoughts on that?
I would think that'd be true. I think we've got one major daycare, then we got some other sporadic ones, and then we got I think we got a fair amount of in-home daycare opportunities, but not major. Now, I don't know what the industries are doing. Yeah, like Alliant Laundry, I wonder what they're doing with their, I don't know.
I always thought, why don't they have an
Yeah,
in-house?
yeah,
daycare?
right, exactly.
That would be
I don't
perfect.
think they do, though. Does anybody think they do?
I don't think they do. I think it's affordable daycare is what probably a lot of people,
We're looking.
because there's a fair amount of younger families here too, and they need to go to work, and they have young children, and who do I leave them with?
Yeah.
How can I afford this? How can I get ahead?
But I guess that's kind of back to, we may not have that great of a population of higher income earners. So they use grandma, they use the next door neighbor,
Yeah.
they use the cousin, they use the sister. That's probably true. That's probably true, so chicken and the egg a little bit too. Because I'm sure the Speed Queen executives, a lot of them still live out of town. Or Speed Queen.
Yeah.
A lot of them
They're
do.
in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's our major industry, obviously. And we've got Tom Rogers with his, I don't know how many employees that, his place. That's probably the second biggest.
What's the major industry, I'm sorry?
The major industry is Speed Queen / Alliance Laundry. Very important, very important.
And Smuckers.
And Smuckers,
In Seneca,
Seneca too,
and Ripon Pickle,
but not a lot of people.
not a lot of people. What about Smuckers?
I don't know how many they employ.
Well, they're always hiring people. It's a
Are they?
good sized
They're-
plant, so I imagine yes.
There's a lot there.
And Advanced Paper, obviously.
I think.
In the hospital,
Control
the
is
hospital.
In the hundreds of them.
Is it now? Yeah, Agri-Control certainly might be the second largest, yeah. You're right. You're right. It's amazing how many
They
they
said
do
they
employ.
filled that whole cookie factory with office space.
They did, really.
They ran out of space already.
That's amazing. So Agri-Control is definitely an up-and-coming business, for certain. And that and Advanced Paper, I think, is fairly large. Those are homegrown.
We count the hospital too?
Yeah.
The hospital's pretty good size.
I wonder how many of the hospital people live in Ripon?
I would bet not many. Because they can't find a place.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a beautiful hospital, and that was a priority item, and we were blessed to be able to keep them. The old hospital, then the old hospital got converted into housing. Another blessing. We've had some very positive things happen. I mean, that's a huge positive. An old building that's on the corridor got turned into very nice housing. Yeah, that would have happened since the last plan. Yeah, or at least was transitioning about that. And built the state of the, yeah, our hospital on a next property.
But that's an area I think we could target. I mean, at one point, off Highway 44, that was supposed to be a business park. That's turned far more industrial now.
Yeah, yeah.
But the hospital area is someplace where we can
Yeah,
target
definitely.
more of a
Definitely.
business targeted approach.
Definitely, and I know that, yeah, if we had, yeah, we could attract the people, because I know the landowner is motivated. Yeah, so the land is available for certain, for certain.
Are you talking about now the land off of 23?
Yes, yep. Next to the
So
hospital.
that actually leads sort of into another question that I had. So on your, if you look at your future land use map that I think Lawrence should give you guys, that area is designated by sort of a pink shading that says mixed use.
Yes,
You see what I'm talking about?
yes.
Okay. And I was looking at that, and then I was looking in your zoning ordinance, and you don't actually have a mixed-use zoning district. I was wondering if it might be better to designate that for a type of land use that is in your zoning district. Not that something couldn't be ultimately a mixed-use development, but if you have like a developer coming through and looking, let's say they look at your future land use map and then they see that it's mixed use and they come to the city and say, hey, I want to rezone this to mixed use. Then the city would have to say, well, we don't have that zoning district. So, something that's akin to mixed use that I was thinking for this area, and you guys would know better than me if this would work, but it's more of a commercial designation for future land use. Is that sort of what you had in mind for that area when you designated it to mixed use in the first place? Not that any of you were around when the original one was written, but I don't know what your opinion of changing that from mixed use to, say, commercial would be. You could get the same general mix of uses. It would just be something that was more in line with your zoning ordinance.
I kind of envision that area being retail and office park type.
Also, I think it should be.
Yeah, and that would, office park and retail, that definitely falls under the category of commercial. Is that what, others kind of envision that area as being?
Yeah, I would with the
Yeah.
hospital there.
I don't really envision it to be housing or anything
No.
else. I can't imagine that area ever being, residential either, which is, I think the retail is
Okay.
way smarter of a option.
So, and you certainly wouldn't want it to be something like industrial because you're.
Right.
No.
Residential right next to it.
Exactly.
I agree on that. I think
Yes.
the mixed use does open up the opportunity for multiple housing. I can see multiple housing in that area, but obviously we prefer it to be retail and commercial.
I mean, if it's in the long-range plan, you should take
Target it.
the
Yep.
residential right along 23,
Right,
and in the long-range plan, move that out of residential and into the same
yeah,
category.
yeah, I agree.
What was that last statement that you just agreed with? I didn't hear the other person.
Again, some of that area
There's a
going
big-
out of town, yeah, or in
And there's
town.
a small strip of residential between the pink and the highway. From a long-term planning standpoint, that should be,
Is that still in the township
Changed.
though?
Yeah. So extraterritorial zoning. It's not ours yet.
yeah,
Right, right,
but we're talking about a long-term.
Yeah,
plan.
right, absolutely.
right. So what did you say that should be for the future, like commercial as well?
Right,
Yeah.
right along the highway.
Like once you guys actually own it, if you do?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll make a note on that. That would certainly make more sense right along the highway there. And then I know you probably are just getting familiar with the future land use map, but is there anything else that you may have noticed just in the little bit that you've been looking at it that seems maybe wrong or out city. Is that still a viable quarry, and do you guys have any idea how long of a life it has?
I think the one on the west end, they're still actively quarrying.
Yeah.
The one in the south is mostly quarried out, I think, because they're down to water at the bottom.
Probably 1/8 of it, which would be northwest corner that is, still could be quarried, and the rest is down deep.
Yeah, they have active operations area.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think they're looking to expand to
they
the
are.
west, actively seeking property.
There's a cemetery there.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
They're probably looking at that too. That never stopped nobody.
Shoot.
Along Coombs Street there,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Headed further out.
Coombe Arcade Glen Road then.
because I know right up to the cemetery property, they are down to the bottom.
Yeah.
The quarry out behind, the old Kmart area. And
Cornwall
that's-
Road,
That's where
yeah.
they're doing most of their active work.
Next to the landfill. Don't
That
ask.
was, that- I was just asking, because that, just because it is a quarry right now, it doesn't mean it has to stay that on the future land use map, because again, you're looking out, years into the future. A lot of people are seeing end up designating quarries as like rec sites for the future, like long-term future, because a lot of places build quarry parks and other types of recreational facilities within quarry land. But if you're saying that quarry is still actively being mined and there's no end in sight, so to speak, maybe it wouldn't take to change that just yet. Anything.
You can go ahead, but the reclamation project would be immense.
Yeah.
Something beyond any of our imagination.
Sure.
And I think they've run close to the line in terms of what they should be doing. And we haven't attempted to rein them in. But they also supply to construction projects in the area. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Oh, okay.
I don't see that ending in the next 10 years either, though.
No,
No.
So,
no.
Would be nice to see some higher barricades around the pit though.
Yes, it would.
Because
Yes, it
Coombs
would.
Street's not far
I
from
agree.
the deep part.
I agree 1,000%, Mr. Mayor. Good thought. And that may be something we should be discussing in the future, getting them in and talking about it. There is some leverage, but it's complicated. Actually, the location of the road is on their property. So,
was it really?
yeah. We're gonna let that one in.
So is there anything else on the map that's striking anyone as something they want to talk about? Silence being no.
The only thing that I could possibly think
What
of
is
is
that?
along the
Is that the Alliant
west
Energy?
Pond Lot
No, the gray.
corridor.
Yeah, that's Alliant Energy.
Do you think?
Is it, I can't see how it would be feasible to try to reclaim some of that residential property for commercial use.
Why, where?
That's on West Pond Lot corridor.
I think that, long term, we should look at that.
Because,
I would take that and turn that whole corridor red,
yeah,
all the way up to downtown.
because
Yeah.
just for the sake of the
For
people
sure.
living in those houses, it's gotta be horrendous getting in and out of those driveways. And
Right.
if you have kids, it's not safe.
It's only gotten worse.
Because there's a lot of traffic down that road.
Absolutely, yeah. That would be definitely a long-term look, yep.
So I would envision that commercial all the way from city limits to downtown.
So you're talking about Fond du Lac Street?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, since that's such a busy road, definitely, I would definitely agree with amending that to show as commercial for the future. And what I would suggest doing is just taking all of the parcels that front actually along Fond du Lac Street and turning them into commercial. Except of course for those few parcels on there that look like they're public institutional. I don't know if that's Ripon College property, but the rest of them, I think it would be a good idea to turn that into commercial, definitely. Is that an idea that most are, if not all, are in agreement with?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the one public institution, I believe, is a church,
Yeah, the blue spot right there, that's church.
which I don't see a problem with that or anything.
No. No, and they're set back.
Nice big parking lot.
Yeah, nice big parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark that one down. We certainly don't feel pressure to look this over in its entirety right now. If you take these home or, tonight look at them over the next few weeks, and you have any ideas or suggestions for anything, even stuff that we didn't talk about today, but maybe just talking to your brain and you think is important that you want to address. Feel free to funnel those to me through boring, and I would certainly be open to any additional suggestions or comments that you guys have. Okay. I really don't have any other questions. That was all I wanted to get through from the mapping and the survey. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Are we planning on using this questionnaire to go out to the public?
Well, that was something, we had talked about that, actually the initial planning commission meeting, maybe you weren't there.
No.
One of the new ones, I'm sorry, I don't know.
No, I'm new, but I understand what's going on. I just wondered because it said village on it.
It did say village, you're right.
Yes, it said village on the questionnaire, not city, and if we were gonna use it, and I don't know if we were or not, please change it to city.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Sorry about that. That would have been my mistake. I come from working for a village, and sometimes I just type village.
No, that was perfectly fine, and I don't know if we're gonna use this. It's a questionnaire, I think if citizens looked at it, I have no idea what they would respond, if they would respond at all, who knows?
Correct.
Gonna get a little
Yeah, and
wide range.
at this point in time, we were planning on making a survey public. Normally when we do community surveys, we actually send out a community survey that looks entirely different with questions that are worded very differently than the survey that we send to village officials. So if we had been going to send a survey out to the community, it would definitely have looked entirely different, yeah. And the questions would have been much easier to understand. And much simpler. So yeah, that wasn't something we had planned on doing, but you can certainly talk that through with Lori. That's always an option. It would come at a higher price tag than what we quoted Lori originally. The cost range is huge, but it's certainly
I was just talking, I'm not trying to increase the price tag right now, okay? I didn't know.
No, it's okay. It was a totally valid question, totally fine. I just wanted to say we're certainly not saying you can't do things. I'm just, it wasn't in the original contract, but it's certainly something that could be talked about if you guys decided you wanted to do that at some point in the future.
I'll put my 2 cents in, that's a bad idea. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Bill says don't do it.
So unless anyone else has anything for me,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rhea.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys for sharing your thoughts with me, and again, please feel free to forward any more comments or suggestions to your board anytime. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Yep,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stir the pot too much.
All right, project updates, staff reports, anything, Lori?
I think the only thing we had was the public hearing for Aiken Street vacation was on the last council agenda. And so it'll be on the next council agenda. We had to file
A list pendants.
list pendants, which has, or it's
Yep,
been filed.
it's in the process
In
of
the
being.
process, and so that'll
Will
come
comply
back.
with the statute.
So that'll come back to the council at their next meeting for the final ordinance approval.
Is that all?
Yep, that's all
Okay.
I.
Any agenda items for future meetings? No. Do we need a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Meeting adjourned.
Stay safe.
There, Lori, I put Tim down. He's the biggest, he is big in the county. Tim Saul, our fire chief.
You put him down?
Yeah, I put it down as one of the answers. What, you know, the connection with the community at large.
Okay.
Tim Saul, he was the president of the county fire chief. He is everywhere. I'm serious, and I think Bill Wallner should be on that too.
A city
Our
resident
officers, they get awards and stuff.
back in,
Yeah.
and I want to say it was
And they do a
1997.
wonderful job,
And I think they're,
Yeah.
Designated
Desiree's well known too.
a whole number of Ripon College properties,
Yeah,
a bunch of
there's a
city
lot of
properties, everything. And it was signed, sealed, and delivered by city council. Now, it still goes back to that, did it ever?
Right.
But now, every time I call the Register of Deeds,
Yep.